Hi, I'm Nancy with OnPoint's Tutorials, Tips, and Tours. We finished our quilt top. Now it's time to start machine quilting it. Now I'm going to show you some of the tools that I use when I'm machine quilting, but you got to know there is so many more out there on the market. Every time I turn around, somebody is promoting some tool that is going to make free motion quilting that much easier. This is going to be the basics. Later I'll take you through the steps of quilting, but for now, these are the pieces of equipment that I think you need to get started. To start with, you're going to be sitting. You need a chair. You need a chair that will swivel and that will roll and that will also adjust up and down. This chair I think I got for like 25 bucks. Love this chair. I couldn't believe the difference when I just got this chair and the support that it gave me. The next thing is a pedal holder, so a pedal stay. This is a piece of wood with that sticky stuff that goes in a cabinet so that your dishes don't break and get shift around. And this is where your pedal goes, and it's going to keep it from sliding on the floor. When you sit down to start quilting, if you don't have this, your pedal seems to want to run away from you. So get yourself something like this pedal stay to keep your pedal in place. Next is going to be the feet. Now the feet are very important. Now this foot is the walking foot. Every machine has its own walking foot. Now there's some generic machines that can share feet, but many of the machines today have to be specific to their brand of machine. So this is a walking foot. This little arm is going to go up and down, and it's going to make these teeth actually work at the same time with the bottom feed dogs, so that when you're feeding your quilt through, it will grab it at the top and bottom and bring the quilt forward. If you don't use a walking foot, when you're doing your straight line quilting, the top layer will start to walk forward on you. So that's why you need to have a walking foot. The second foot is what is traditionally called a darning foot. But nowadays people don't darn their clothes, but you use the same foot for free motion quilting. So this is going to be a spring foot, and you can see it'll spring up and down. And that's what's going to make it possible for you to free motion quilt on your quilt. There are some high-end machines that are also embroidery machines that might have a floating foot. So that's a third option when it comes to the feet used for machine quilting. Then we have the needles. There are so many different needles on the market. I'm going to tell you what my favorite needle is and why. This is the Topstitch needle. Now a Topstitch needle is going to have the front shaft where the thread actually glides in the needle. It's going to be a little bit deeper, so that is going to protect the thread, so you're going to have less thread breakage. Also, the hole on the needle is elongated. It's not a circle. It's not too big. It's not too small. Something about it makes it just right. It also is going to be a very sharp needle. So a universal needle, which is the least expensive needle on the market, a lot of people want to machine quilt with that. That needle is not a sharp point. So it's not going to give you the clean machine quilting you want. A Topstitch needle in size 80 or 90, I think is the perfect needle for any thread. Now we're coming to our extension table. Every extension table, again, is going to be unique to the sewing machine that you're using. This one fits on the machine that I use here on the show. This is going to make the concept, the practice, everything about free motion quilting so much easier. I will take you through step by step on a couple of different ways to have an extension table, but know that you're going to need some sort of an extension table. This is called silicone spray. This has come out a few years ago. They used to use it on the industrial side of sewing for a long time. The idea of my friend Mary actually used to work at GM, and she used to make the seat covers. Well, that's a lot of heavy upholstery fabric or leather. Well, she realized if she used the spray silicone on the surface that her fabric was moving on, her fabric moves so much faster. So she introduced me to the silicone spray. With the silicone spray, you're going to spray on the surface of your extension table, or if you happen to have a table that your machine sinks down inside of, you can also spray this on top of that. Sometimes I'll actually spray the fabric. So if I'm getting grip and it's just not moving as freely as I want it to, I'll actually flip the quilt over and spray the backing fabric. It'll make it slide better. You can actually, if you have, your needle is gumming up, if you're working on some like fusible webbings, your needle can get gummy. If you take a little bit of silicone spray, put it on your fingers and run it up and down on the needle, it'll keep that from getting all goopy. So silicone spray has a lot of different uses. Then we come to the gloves. Now this is a pair of quilting gloves. This is called the Machinger gloves. Now what I like so much about these is that they're not too big. Sometimes you'll find gloves that'll be a heavier cotton and they'll have little rubber dots on the bottoms of them. They're going to work, but they're so clumsy. You can't actually undo a safety pin or move a needle or grab a pair of scissors. When they came out with this kind, I really liked it that they actually fit really nice, and then the fingertips in the particular have a little bit of a non-slip surface to them. Then is Lickety-Grip. I used to use the gloves all the time until I really truly fell in love with Lickety-Grip. I will only use the gloves now if I'm doing a very large quilt. Most of the time I use Lickety-Grip. The idea of Lickety-Grip is the same thing that secretaries used to use back when they used to have paper in offices. Now everything is paperless. But they would use this so that they could flip through the paper. That's all it is. And it's just going to go on your hands. You're going to rub it into it, rub it onto the surface of your hands, and it makes your hands feel a little bit like a Post-it note. So it's not real sticky, and it will last maybe 5-10 minutes. And truth, 5 or 10 minutes into your machine quilting, you need to take a break anyhow. You can't just continually free motion quilt for an hour. So this also gives me the opportunity to stop, put more Lickety-Grip on my hands, and then I've calmed down a little bit. Machine quilting, you're going to find out, can be a little bit frustrating at times. So this is going to be like my little break maker at the same time. This is a thread stand. Now this particular thread stand is a heavy duty thread stand. On the market are a couple of different brands that are made of a plastic. They're very lightweight. They're honestly just not worth your money. They're not going to hold the thread the way it needs to be held. This particular thread stand has a heavy metal base, so it is not going to tip over. It is going to really work well. I'd highly recommend when you get a thread stand, you get the metal base. What you're going to use that for is your cone threads. Now you can have threads in smaller spools like this, but the most economical way to buy your thread is in a cone. I'm going to take you through a little bit later about all the different kinds of threads you can choose from. Here is just a small sampling of some of the threads that I own. So there's the tools that are going to be the basics to get you through machine quilting.